Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello there, my friends. This is Kevin Lopez back again from Personal Tutors. Today, I'm taking up an explanation of a chapter from Honeydew Book of Standard 8th. Now, if you want to go ahead and have a look at the other chapters of this book, you can just click this information button here and you'll be forwarded to the playlist that will be providing you the explanations of other chapters in English as well as in Hindi. So friends, this is a very beautiful story, kinda sad, written by Michael Morpurgo. Michael Morpurgo is basically an author who has been writing quite numerous stories for children. Yes, his stories contain some famous stories, the one of which is a war horse that was quite famous, renowned movies have been made around it, and he has been an illustrator for some of the stories of Peter Pan and so on, my friends. He has the honor of OB, that is the Order of British Empire. He has been a scholar of British Empire as well and a member of British Empire, that is MBE. Friends, this story revolves around the bitter truth of the First World War. It explains the nature of the soldiers who actually went ahead and participated for their countries as soldiers, being common man. They participated in the war. Some of them returned and some of them never. Let's have a look at the story now once again, my friends. The narrator over here, the protagonist, opens up the story with the day being of Christmas Eve. The Christmas Eve is the day before the Christmas day, that is 25th of December. Now, it happens so that the narrator had been looking forward for a desk, and that too made up of oak, but found them to be quite expensive. He thus went to a pawn shop and there he got a buy. Like, he got his luck through by getting an old, battered, slightly burnt, slightly damaged by the moisture, a desk. Finally, that too was oak, made up of oak, and the shopkeeper informed him that the desk might be of the early 19th century, that is quite old. Friends, he brought the desk back and then tried to mend it. He had made up a mind that he's getting a buy, he's getting it cheap, so let's go ahead and repair it. Thus he went ahead to get it repaired. It happens so that while repairing, he stumbles upon a stuck drawer. He uses his fist to bang the drawer and open it. Inside there, he found a tin box that was sellotaped with a strip written Jim's last letter, January 25th, 1915, to be buried with me when I die. Out of curiosity, my friends, the narrator keeps it back. But as it's said in the chapter, the curiosity usually takes up the words, or it says the curiosity kills the cat. It happens so that the narrator opens the tin box and inside he finds an envelope dated December 26, 1914, and that is, the address was to Mrs. Jim Macpherson, 12 Cooper Beaches, Birthport, Dorset, England. Friends, again the narrator opens out to find a letter in it starting with Dear Connie. My friends, Jim Macpherson was basically a teacher in Dorset who happened to become a soldier during the First World War and went to the front to fight against the Germans. The letter was written by Jim to his wife. He explains that something unusual happened at the Christmas day, that is December 25th of the year 1914. He explained that it was the brightest and the best morning since it was a Christmas day. The nostalgia was in the air. And suddenly, they saw some Fritz. It's actually that the German soldiers were narrated as Fritz and the English were called Tommy. They saw a Fritz coming up with a white flag, that is a flag of a truce, hailing towards them and yelling Happy Christmas. That is, they were like wishing each other, they were trying to wish. And along with him, a few more wearing grey uniform. Usually the Germans wear grey and the English wear khaki. The grey uniformed guys started emerging from the trenches in the no man's land. The no man's land is basically an area that is not claimed by any country where usually the war takes place. So they had dug trenches. The trench warfare was quite famous during those days. Peeking up your head was quite a dangerous task. You may get shot. Captain Jim McPherson, since being the leader of the troops that he commanded in that area, ordered his troops not to jump up, but since there would be a chance of they getting shot or it may be a trap. But to his amazement, few of his own men started responding back by telling Happy Christmas to you as well. And the Fritz were calling them, Tommy, come out, we want to wish you Christmas, it's Christmas Day, let's go ahead and enjoy the day. And to again, alas, before the captain could command anything, all he could say was don't shoot, because they had a flag. And some were carrying in some cakes, sausages and the bottle of rum and all with them, and they wanted to have a good time, a gala time. In spite of his protests, his mental protests, his troops jumped up and started going ahead and meeting. That was the turning point. A smart-looking Fritz, that is a German soldier, came up to Jim, stretched his hand out and revealed his name, Hans Wolf. So Hans Wolf was from Dusseldorf, a town in Germany. Jim too extended his hand, made a handshake and revealed himself as Captain Jim McPherson. Jim and Hans sat down and had some good time. They spoke about the places. When Jim informed him that he was from Dorset, Hans kind of imitated that he knows everything about Dorset as if he has stepped out there, but in fact he had not stepped in the city ever. All he knew about Dorset was through a book that he had read in the school and the college era. Jim came to know that Hans was basically a cello player, whereas Jim himself was a teacher in England. This shows the uniqueness of a common man, a common person churning up into a soldier and reaching up the front, fighting with each other. During the conversation, they had a good time. Jim had some sausages brought from Germany by Hans. They had rum, they had rations, they had cake. Jim even offered him the cake that Connie had sent for the Christmas as a sweet dish for, her husband. It happens so that during the conversation, they gel in so finely that the thought of taking the other person as an enemy totally fades or evades up their mind. Out of nowhere, somebody brought up a football. They had a football game. The Germans won 2-1. And at the end, even Hans spoke that this is how wars can be resolved, because war leaves nothing but dead, orphans and widows. This was really something that kills. Friends, leaving the day when everything was finished, the party was over, the trench warfare, they went back to the trenches. The person, that is Hans Wolf, just informed Jim that maybe next year we would be with our family, and Jim too said that yes, fine, maybe you to be with your family, because Hans had just become a father. He had a 6-month-old baby boy, Once it was all finished, the last paragraph that Jim writes to Connie is maybe last in the next year, at the very day of Christmas, I'll be with you. This war would be a distant memory, and I'm looking forward to come back soon to you, my dear wife. Now, this letter literally startled the narrator, because this letter was something that would have been a closest memory, and since it was mentioned the last letter, that means, my friends, Jim never came back. Maybe he met his demise in the war. This sad ending inculcated a thought inside the narrator's mind that I have to reach this address and reach out to Mrs. McPherson and give this and deliver this letter to her. The very next day, that is the Christmas day, he set out for Dorset. When he reached the address, that is 12 Cooper Beaches, he saw a house that was nothing more than a burnt shell. The walls were charred. It seemed that the building had experienced a massive fire break. On inquiring the next door, an elderly person informed him that yes, old Mrs. McPherson, who is now 101 years old, used to stay here, but got her house burned, maybe due to the candles, since she felt that electricity is more expensive. So she took the chance of taking up the candles and going up and lighting the house. It was just in time that she was safe. She was brought out safe by the firemen, and now she's in a nursing home in a nearby town. Friends, when the narrator reaches the nursing home, the matron of the nursing home was no more happy to see him. She was overwhelmed, and when she explained him that since it's Christmas Day, everybody is out in the general area having a gala good time, but Connie seems to be a bit confused today and she's thoughtful, so we have left her in a separate area or a room. The hospital was covered with all Christmas danglings, the cards on the threads, and everything was gala enjoying. But when going towards Connie, the narrator saw that she was sitting in a room, a grey-haired lady, old in age enough, looking out a window, thinking about something. All he could say was, "Hello Connie, Merry Christmas. I brought something for you." He handed her the letter, which she fumbled upon with her fingers as if she was caressing it. But her face did not leave the sight of the narrator. While the narrator tried to speak something else, she spoke out, "Jim, you had promised me that you'll come to me on Christmas, and here today you are with the letter that you wrote." She also knew that Jim loved marzipan. Marzipan is a sweet that even Hans had on the Christmas day in 1914 enjoyed and acclaimed that your wife really makes good marzipan. She went ahead, took his cheek in her hands and kissed him and thanked him that you have now finally fulfilled your promise, and this is the letter that I used to read every day because I wanted your words to be I wanted to hear your words in my head all the time, and since you have come, everything's so fine. Let's have some refreshments or something. The narrator just sat, my friends, couldn't say anything. This gives another irony in the story. Now, Michael Morpurgo has beautifully, my friends, instilled the pain of people who suffer from the war. It is not just the locals who experience the war at the war site, but also the relatives of the long lost soldiers who never came back. It shows the state of mind in which the relatives are left, blank, stumbled, confused, That's what Michael Merpergo here explains, my friends. I hope this explanation has given you a brief of this chapter. Still, if you have some questions, please do comment below. Here is a playlist marked. If you want to go ahead and check out the other explanations, just click on it. You will be forwarded to the playlist that will be containing the explanations of other chapters. Subscribe to our channel, like the video, my friends. So thanking you very much today. This is Kevin Lopez, looking forward to see you with more explanations. See you again.